convienne vraiment. Un procédé de mon invention me permet de reconstituer à la perfection.
All right. Woohoo! Hello, Bonnie Root. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you feel me?
Yay. We're all here.
Yay. I'm going to put you on full screen. Let's go. Woo.
Woo. Ooh,
Hey.
Is that your artwork?
Yeah, this is my artwork.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I just put the whites in just because they've been scuffed up for over the duration of the time I've had it. It got really scuffed up on the white part, so I popped it back out with the white.
Wow. What is it? I can't quite tell what is it watercolor or like mixed?
It's oil. This is oil, and this is ink on watercolor paper.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
that's just a silk screen that I just stamped all over the place.
Love it. Yeah, that one behind you, it's so fascinating. It looks like reminds me of kind of like an ink blot test, but then there's also like all these amazing colors going on. Like, you know, when you see a rainbow in the like kind of oil spill or something.
Oh, that's the best compliment right there. That's what if you can get that iridescent, like oil on water, that opalescent thing going.
Yeah.
That's the fun part. That's the mistake. That's what you want to happen as much as possible.
Yeah, it's really cool. It has like a moth-like look to it too, you know, like the mirroring kind of.
That's how I do it. I fold them.
Oh, so okay. That makes sense.
This is my the beginning of my new language is folding. This means something somewhere.
It does. Welcome.
Hey, so thanks for coming on the show. This is my 77th episode of Breaths with Friends.
Whoa.
And you are Bonnie Root. You are an actor, a musician, or a vocalist and songwriter, producer. Just chime in when you want to do more nomenclatures. What's the list?
You know, sometimes director, filmmaker, consultant, private coach, you know, life coach, you know.
How often does that life coach stuff happen?
Yeah, you know, not official.
It's just for just dear friends.
I'm here. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I mean, you know, just like do as I say, not as I do. Learn from my mistakes. Don't do the things that I.
This is the warning label on the front of the podcast. Is this the don't do as I do as I do.
Duty.
Duty is also a good one. Duty. Anytime you can get duty in there is always good.
I know. Why is it so entertaining?
It's because we live in 2022. We are.
Yeah.
So, I usually like to do these like with like the basic thing is past, present, future.
Okay, cool.
And so real quick, I want to just tell the story of how we met, and then we'll go back into the past and then go to the present and future, because I met you at the screening of your film The Movie.
Yeah.
Is that still the title of it?
It is.
Okay.
Yes, our distributor, who we signed with shortly after that screening, Gravitas Ventures, loved the title, which, you know, we were always kind of on the fence like with people, you know, everybody thought like, oh, they're going to have issues with that, or is it going to be confusing? But it turns out everybody loves, you know, the intrigue that is born of the confusion. So.
And did you not only act in this movie, did you have a producing aspect to it, or what? Did you have another aspect to it as well?
Yeah, I was a producer on it. Michael Mandel, the writer and director and producer as well. We met in a screenwriting class, I think maybe about 6 or 7 years ago now. And, you know, we just hit it off, had chemistry. We liked each other's writing. I was bringing my scripts in. I was also, you know, reading other people's material because I'm an actor and, you know, I like to do that too. And then we said, you know, let's do something together. Let's come up with something. And he was looking to have kind of a breakthrough moment, you know, to see some of his writing actually produced, and I had already myself successfully, written, directed, produced, my own projects, and one which we'll talk about later, my short film Sissy. So I had kind of gone through that, and I said, hey, I can help you crew and pull together, what you need. If you can come up with a budget, let's just do this, like do something small that is a, labor of love, passion project that doesn't have to have a huge cast or a bunch of locations. And that was the challenge that we set out. It was kind of like, when people do those like 48-hour film festival type things, I felt like we gave ourselves a challenge similar to that, which was, how do we use this one location? And this was even just before COVID. So, which, then everybody was doing that. But, we wanted to do something that was felt like kind of like a play where, the writing and the acting was really the prominent thing. So he started writing the script, we started workshopping it. And then we initially shot a little short kind of, oh gosh, what is that called? Like proof of concept type of thing. And then we just went for it. It just somehow suddenly all came together.
Okay.
So yeah.
I have lots of questions about this.
Okay.
Because when you're in the infancy of this project, did you and you're talking budget and time and location, the trifecta of all those different things converging in one spot in LA with the right chemistry of people and crew and all, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
When did you start thinking about, and how did you get the money and to facilitate what you thought the completion would be? Or did you want to get to a certain spot and then to get the completion money later with that, depending on how your scenario is,
I mean, we basically decided to do this on a completely tiny micro shoestring budget, which was $50,000. And we decided to shoot on iPhones. So, that kind of cut some corners. I mean, it created its own, interesting challenges as well. But yeah, I mean, it was just a collection of private investors, we have
that's always the red herring, that's why I got to ask it, because that's like the, sometimes you can't get one before the other and one without the other. You want a name, they can't give you a budget without a name, and then it's just like fucking fuckery that happens in Hollywood.
It is extremely frustrating and difficult, and a total catch-22. You're absolutely right. Like, you hit it. It's just like, yeah, you either have to have somebody attached or you have to have the money first to get the, there's a million different ways to approach that. I'm sure there's a ton of people who've done master classes on all the various ways that you can raise money for independent films. But yeah, I mean, for us, we just decided to keep it at a realistic amount. That's why we said, look, our writer director, we said, look, your house is amazing. I mean, the design that he's done inside the house is so insane and unique and unusual and just one of a kind. So
well, I have to interrupt you because the center, and I wouldn't normally interrupt you but that fits the Hollywood. I want to talk about your film without giving anything away, because because the location seemed very tied into the lead. There's two leads, you and Jared, and and he's gonna come on the show at some point when I can get him. But
nice.
The location was key, and it always is, right? Everything's key, but it looked like her house would look, and where it was in location to the LA, and it just all fit. I've been in a house like that before in LA, and with people that are actors, producers, directors, or whatever, and there was a familiarity with it. It seemed, it made sense.
I mean, that's what I always say, to somebody who's trying to, put together a project. It's like all those little cliche things, right? Like, write what you know, and then also look at what do you have, like what resources do you have, and then create or build a story around that, if you can write and produce and create music, then, you know, use that. If you have an amazing house that is, you know, a location that you can control and won't cost you any money, you know, we said, let's take this location and write something that can just be set all here. And we don't have to deal with anything. We don't have to deal with, you know, huge permitting issues or, you know, insurance, like, you know, being through the sky.
You don't need 1,000 people standing around with clipboards.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we just knew we wanted to come up with something realistic, you know, because look, I know like a lot of writers, including myself, have projects that you're out there shopping around and you're hoping to, you know, raise $1 million or $500,000 or whatever your budget level is. And that's, you know, can be a long game. Even if sometimes I've had friends who have successfully raised the money and they've had 2 million in an account sitting, and for some reason that project falls apart because the talent and the schedules and, you know, all of that just doesn't quite gel or come together. So, you know, what we all wanted was to have a project that we knew we could see all the way across the finish line, that we could finish it, package it, put it together, sell it, and put it out to the world so that everybody's work could be seen. So that's what we said, you know, like, let's make it under $50,000. We know we can go out to a handful of friends and private investors. We could manage to raise that. We know that we can put together a small but efficient.
Indiegogo, no, or Indiegogo, no,
nothing, nope.
And how would you categorize this film? The movie.
You know, that's funny because we've heard a few new genre, like specific little niche genre titles being made up around it, which there was, I think somebody came up with kitschy torture. I call it sort of, you know, comedy horror theater of the absurd. But, you know, I mean, the piece has ongoing commentary and, you know, in the dark humor, there's sort of some questions being asked and themes being introduced and, you know, some statements being made about, you know, all kinds of different things. So,
yeah, it's very layered. And when I walked out, because I'm not really into, and I was torture porn. And I don't know that this would think that this would be called that, but it was the mentalness of it and the degree of some intenseness of it. I'm trying to use words that won't just because I'm sure people are intrigued by the movie already. And when I walked out of there, I was like bewildered and befuddled, and I just hoped you're okay. And then I met you, and then we talked, and then we. But it's an intense movie.
Yeah, I mean,
it's edgy with the comedy, Jared, and it's hard to hold a movie together like that, and you guys did it. And
thank you.
That's super fucking hard. That's super hard to have somebody to have that situation and hold the commanding attention of the screen for that long. It's a pretty high.
For me, it was really very, very similar to doing a play. Like, I've done a few one-act plays that were just two people on stage, you know, for like a straight full hour. And it's very, you know, intimidating, daunting. It makes you feel so vulnerable. Like there's just nothing, you know, there's nowhere you can run or hide, or, you know, every moment is exposed and there has to be something going on. It has to be filled up and, you know.
Was it an exhausting experience for you doing that movie, or how was your experience on that and overall, generally?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, every movie or acting job I've ever worked on is exhausting. I mean, I love it, but it's draining on every level, you know. I mean, usually the hours are long, and whatever it is I'm doing, for me in particular, I always seem to be doing something that's very intense, you know, and draining emotionally. But that's what I'm drawn to, you know, is that kind
why
of.
Are you drawn to that?
I think I'm just drawn to catharsis, you know. I think that it's healing. I think helping other people maybe, you know, to have an emotional experience, if, you know, if by me as a character having an intense or emotional experience can help them to access that, which is, you know, maybe normally not accessible for them. You know, I think that's really cool. And I just always been fascinated by the depths of human emotion and feeling and what people go through, what motivates them, what people, you know, are, what their story is on the inside, what their narrative is, and what their sort of private suffering might be.
Bring that to
just,
light. Bring that to
yeah.
light, a little relatability there, a little like maybe if you it opens the door for them to expose that and to get rid of it if it's heavy for them, if they haven't
Yeah,
touched
or
upon
to
it.
feel right. I mean, I know we hear a lot of people say this, but I think it is true. I think it is what motivates a lot of actors and storytellers and musicians and everyone, is that it's connection, you know, to feel less alone, to just say, oh, you know, like someone else has felt this really big emotion. I'm not alone, you know, somebody else out there has felt this crushed or this hopeless or this crazy over the top, you know, overjoyed and in love, or, you know, whatever these dramatic emotions and situations are. I think, you know, yeah, it's just nice to know that somebody else has experienced that. And then to some level, you know, I think I was watching this thing, something with Ethan Hawke the other day, and he was talking about this. Just, you know, I mean, you know, that people don't generally think too much, you know, people who aren't artists or maybe who aren't poets or whatever, just like living their normal lives. But then something happens, you know, there's a big loss in their life or a big grief, you know, or a big love or a big moment. And then, of course, all of a sudden, how important is poetry and music and movies and storytelling? All of a sudden, it's, you know, like the most important thing. Helps us make sense of our lives, and you know, and see the beauty even in the sorrow, even in the complicated things. I just think, you know, it elevates everything, and reminds us that it's all, you know, this crazy, beautiful, interesting experience, just being here and being alive.
Tapestry of reality,
Yeah.
layered and fragmented and disjointed, but beautiful at the same time.
Yeah. But
It's,
I also I'm also drawn to material like with the movie. I really love things that aren't what they seem on the surface, you know, like that just have so much more going on that you have to kind of work for it a little bit, you know, to dig a little deeper and
you
say,
gotta work
well,
for it, baby.
what was a filmmaker, you know, like really hoping to achieve here? What are these people saying? What are they, you know, proposing here?
Is
And a
that
lot
left to the audience? Is that left to the audience to decide that, or do you like to decide that for them?
well, that's kind of what we were hoping, was to engage the audience in that way. You know, we were hoping they would be walking away asking those questions. And one of the questions we kept kind of saying is, you know, I wonder if people will, you know, sort of ponder if they found this film entertaining or amusing, why? And if they enjoyed it, what about it did they enjoy? And why? Because those were kind of some of, you know, the questions that we were asking about, you know, themes such as like how actors are treated on movie sets in general, even though this movie isn't particularly about that, but it isn't without.
I can see you working around.
Yeah, you look like the wheels are
because I am thinking that as well, because I want to talk about it as well, because it does bring up all those different. It's got a lot. It's a lot of movie in the movie. It's a lot of movie in that.
A lot of movie in the movie within the movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. And how was it? How was it working with Jared?
Jared's incredible. I mean, I was
his last name. What's his last name? Jared
Pasili.
Okay.
Pasili, yeah.
So, how long did you work with him before this?
I didn't know Jared at all. In fact, I met him for the first time at our first rehearsal, and I think we were all having a horrible fight about something, and I think he walked out and walked around the block for a while, and I wasn't sure if it was going to go well.
It's intense. You guys got some crazy ass fucking.
We were all wearing like a million hats, and like, and Jared's friend Keely was our production designer, and they were trying to like, move in and like do all the art direction and stuff. We just had like because it was such a small budget, we were all doing all of the things, so. But then at a certain point, Michael Mandel, our writer and director, just took over the helm, and Jared and I just kind of, stepped into our characters and, dove in and went on that journey. And Jared was, an incredible partner in that experience. He was super supportive, and he always made me feel really safe and really taken care of. And I think we did that for each other. And it's interesting because we're having all these conversations, for me with Mike, the writer and director, and with Jared, so it's like two guys, and we're kind of, the movie's like delving into these questions about like how women are treated or objectified, or how there's like, I don't know, certain types of male rage projected onto women, or, all kinds of different things. And so, to have that be an ongoing conversation while you're actually shooting a movie is interesting. So I felt beyond just, playing the character and playing Janet, I also felt very seen and heard as Bonnie Root, who has been an actress and worked on bunches of different, TV and movie sets and been in different situations to, be on a set where I'm doing that, but we're actually having a conversation about the complexity of that, and sort of the issues that come up without giving away too much.
Do you have a trailer for this movie?
Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Can you introduce a trailer, and then maybe when we end this, you can send it to me?
Oh yeah.
So maybe you can. Okay, so why don't you introduce a trailer, and then we'll act like we just saw the trailer, and we'll come back.
Okay. So all right. So we're gonna watch a little trailer for the movie. So brace yourselves for this little ride.
Delivery!
What's that?
You didn't think this was actually for you, did you, Janet?
What's in that box?
Just some gear and props and things.
For what?
Shooting our movie, silly. We're shooting it tonight, right here in your house. It's about this creepy delivery guy who tortures this washed-up actress in her own home. It's only compelling if it's real. It's only compelling if it's real. It's gotta look real, Janet.
It's called acting. It's make-believe.
I am shaking the head of Janet Gillespie. Oh, my God.
You're shooting this POV?
As a matter of fact, I am. That way I won't incriminate myself on camera. It's genius, right? I thought it through, Janet.
I feel tingly.
Quiet on the set! And action!
You drugged me. You tortured me. You humiliated me. You degraded me.
It was just for the movie.
You're not the first scumbag director I've worked for. The worst, but not the first.
No! What's my motivation? Not getting all my body parts ripped off?
And we're back. Yay!
Wow.
Trailer.
So yeah,
Magic.
that didn't shock you. I don't know what will.
Okay, so let's go back to real quick before we go into the past. How's the state of Hollywood right now, living in Los Angeles? How's everything going in LA right now?
I mean, it sort of seems like to some degree business as usual. I mean, I think that shows are shooting, everybody's working. It's hard to track the kind of, damage that COVID did. I mean, I know like there were a few jobs that I lost simply because shows just disappeared completely, scheduling wise, whatever, but back when COVID was, really
Fresh and
wreaking
new.
havoc on things. But I don't know. Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of changes happening. Some are good, some I don't really know. I think that it's in some ways becoming easier to make your own content and do things like make an independent film and get it out there, but there are new challenges being presented now because there, I think, is such a massive amount of content being created, and there's new platforms
Like what's happening right now, podcasts.
Yeah. I mean, yes, there's just a lot of content, and I think part of the challenging thing I keep hearing is that basically now people are kind of sort of paying to be distributed in a way. So like I'm starting to like just throw this out to everybody out there who's thinking of making a film, is like, make sure that if you are making a feature and you do have big plans for it, you might want to think about setting aside a minimum of 50,000 to 100,000 for your marketing and publicity, because I'm hearing, that a lot of the platforms are not only not paying for that, but actually actively requiring the filmmakers, the production to, foot the bill for that. So I don't know, some of those things are kind of interesting to hear about, but then at the same time, I think there's a lot of opportunity with, newer streaming services and everybody needing content. If you're just looking to get something out there and have it up where people can see it, I think the door is wide open. But yeah, but it's this weird thing about like, how do you make sure you get seen and your thing, like is at the top of the algorithm and, all of that. And then do you want to make a piece of art just only based on that? You're like, oh, how do I write something that's going to be super marketable and, everybody wants to watch? Like, I don't know. I've always been conflicted by that conversation. I mean,
well, the media is changing a lot. There's a lot of different outlets from like when we were young filmmakers growing up in our teens and our 20s and stuff like that. We didn't, we as a kid, I always wanted to be like, I have my own TV station, like SCTV, like where they throw the TV out the window and they did what the fuck they want. And that was such a pipe dream with like HBO, where you only got 3 cable channels in the beginning. I'm assuming we're a similar age, so what I'm talking about. Like, you only had 3 channels, and then you got the box, and then you got beta, and then you got VHS, then it went into like computer, then it went into cell phone. Now we're at this juncture where YouTube, is where a lot of comics in particular are like, basically just doing their specials and just fuck Netflix. I'm just gonna fucking release it for free. I'll get a lot more. 1 billion people will watch it more than if it's where the changing, the way we do is changing. Because I even got cynical about movies because I love movies, but it's like, do I even like movies anymore? Like after I've seen the underneath of all that stuff, all the, and I made movies when I was 12 years old. I can certainly make them when I'm 53.
Yeah.
So that's not going to continue. That's not going to stop. So when you're like a child and you're making these movies, you're doing it as a completely free creative outlet based on your inspirations of like Frazetta, for me in particular, or like Tex Avery or Chuck Jones or Ray Harryhausen, all the, Woody Allen, blah, 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 the Coppola, whatever, we get it. But like, but I don't know if I'll ever get that feeling again like I did as a child.
I was thinking about that. I was talking to a guy yesterday, this awesome guy, Brian Maurice. He just launched his own streaming service and network. It's called Second Team Productions, which I have like great hopes for them. I think they're offering something really awesome to their content creators, and I hope that they, rise to the top. But I was talking with him about, I had just watched, binged watched The Offer, which is all about the making of The Godfather. But it's much more than that, because it's really about the golden era of Bob Evans and, of course, Alan Ruddy, whose, perspective that the series is about. But, it's just like looking back on that amazing combination of things where there was the money, there was the excitement for the art form,
There was the cocaine.
There's all the cocaine. There,
lots of that.
A lot of that. But there was just this, like somebody like Bob Evans was allowed to just be, a channel. Like all of the money guys, at Gulf and Western or whatever, that they cover in the series, were concerned that when they'd come and go, oh, this doesn't sound entertaining. It should have, there should be whatever, explosions, tits and ass, whatever they were thinking. And
no, there's a thing that they all had to have tits and ass in the shows. They're all like, even Scorsese said that. He's all, well, where's the tits? Where's the ass? Where's every movie he's got? It's the 70s.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, one of the things that, I was noticing was like Bob Evans would pick these, pieces that they would describe as too dark, too political, too challenging, too confusing, too heady, too intellectual. But all of those films, were like became classics that were, remembered, revered forever and ever, like they were huge box office successes.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there for a second, because we have to do one thing. We're going to take a quick intermission because because I didn't pay for the longer length of time. Sorry, I forgot.
Okay.
So can I re-invite you again after I download this? Take 5 minutes, and like we'll come back to this and we'll take a little break.
No
Go to the
problem.
bathroom if you want. Grab some water. And I'm sorry about that. I meant to tell you earlier, but it's been a full. So I'm gonna download this and then invite you back. So I'll text you when I sent it. Sorry about that.
New link. Okay, cool.
Like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, depends on the download.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I'll see you in a minute, or 5 or 3.
Okay.
We'll see. All right, bye.
No worries.
But I have now that we're back from the intermission, hopefully I showed something good. I'm talking to Paul Provenza right now. He's going to go on the show on Wednesday.
Oh, nice.
You know who that is?
I know that name.
He did the movie The Aristocrats, about the world's dirtiest joke.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he's been in the comedy world he's a legend. But he had the green room with Paul Provenza. Yay! We're texting right now. Yay! This is so cool. All right, I love it. That's going to be an amazing show. We'll see how long we'll go for.
I'm like looking him up. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. He's mentioned his name is here, but I'm looking at a thing that's actually a picture of Eddie Pepitone, who I love.
Have you been to the comedy club, comedy store lately?
I haven't seen a comedy show in a long time.
They got some really killer shows over there.
I think the last time I saw a stand-up was Mary Lynn Rice Cub.
Oh, she's funny.
She's great. She was great.
This is like a new comedy resurgence. I don't know how long it'll last for. I'm gonna have to talk to Paul about that. But because it's like what we were talking about a little bit earlier with the different outlets, basically, of how people can see things and consume their content. Whatever. Because I grew up as a child, and we are, anyways, watching movies. But the way it's shape shifting right now is very very even Conan O'Brien has a podcast. It seems like the media is being squeezed into different little areas, and people are creating what I guess it's almost cutting out the middleman, in a little bit of a way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So because as a personal thing, like doing this podcast as a great outlet to be creative using, edit, shoot, and also have a real conversation with somebody.
Right.
about something that they're passionate about, which is always inspirational. But it seems like this is fulfilling, because I'm not able to go out and do that, and on the budget or whatever. This is facilitating a need, and also a consumption, entertainment, whatever. I don't know if people find this entertaining or not, but
I personally, I love podcasts. I love them.
But it seems like it's transmuting into these different areas where you can actually, fuck it, I'll just go fucking shoot a film and see what comes out of that, because the inspiration's there. So
I mean, right. If it's just the story that's in you and it's dying to get out, like you might not be one of those people that's like, oh, I have to have a prolific career as a working, famous director. I want to be the next, Scorsese or whatever. Maybe you just have a few stories in you that you want to tell and you want to see them made as a film. Like, you can do that now. And there's a place where you can put that up and people in other countries can watch it, like,
yeah,
you have the marketing power behind you, and but if you don't have a massive concern about turning a profit off of it, or turning a massive career out of it, then I think it returns it back to this beautiful thing, which is like being able to, as far as like comparing, say, like filmmaking with being a musician. Like I used to say before, like I started getting back into music, like 7-8 years ago, and I had kind of abandoned that throughout my career. But then during the times when it would be slow, or I wouldn't either have an active acting job going on for those few months, or I didn't have the energy to do a play, and I'd be like, man, I really wish I was still doing music, or I was doing some kind of music project, because you could just go show up on a street corner, or you can just like go to a bar and like people want to hear music and you can express yourself and tell a story, but nobody wants an actor to show up and do a monologue like when you're having a beer.
If it's Al Pacino, maybe. Come on, we can.
Comedian, but then there's this cool thing with like being able to shoot and edit films on an iPhone or whatever, on a I'm sure they're going to have some cheap digital camera that comes out that looks exactly like an Alexa or something, but just buy some amazing lenses, and you could shoot something and make it look incredible, and you could share it with people, and you could throw a party at your house and screen it for your closest friends. Or
do you remember that that thing that went around with apparently it was on Facebook and maybe Instagram for a bit. It was maybe about 3 or 4 weeks ago, where they had those faces that were illustrated, like almost really cool graphic illustrated filter that you can get, and everybody did it for like 3 days. And
yeah.
The Russian thing, apparently it was a Russian, as some sort of Russian hacker. If you do this, they have your face identity sort of thing, and everybody did it.
Yeah, right,
so I took it off immediately, but I kept some of the images.
Whole, like, facial recognition thing.
Do you remember doing it? Did you do it?
No. I didn't do it. I've been tempted a few times when I'm, like lying awake at night, like wondering if I'm gonna fall back asleep. I'm like, do I want to see what I would look like in Renaissance time?
That's gonna happen. That's gonna happen with film. The face swap thing. You're gonna be able to be like Princess Leia in a movie, in full Star Wars, in your own voice, in 1977. Like full Star Wars, you'll be with your same body function and not just a face on a body, but they'll be able to do this. This is gonna happen very fast.
Well, I mean, it's already happening.
But like now, like give it like that plus like 2 years.
Well, I kind of, I mean, I don't know if this is true, and things go in cycles, whatever. Kids are now buying cassette tapes again, so I don't know what I'm talking about.
The world's upside down.
But right, like kids are like buying like VHS tapes and cassettes and stuff, and it's like a cool thing, and of course vinyl's all the rage. But like, I keep hearing about the YouTube culture and TikTok with little kids that are coming up, right? And that kids that are like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, like when I was that age, I was, going to the movie theater to see Star Wars, or, like whatever. Like it was movies and television.
You had to fight for it.
And now I'm hearing that a lot of these kids are not even interested in movies or TV at all. They're literally going on YouTube and just watching live stream clips, live streaming of other kids somewhere else who aren't even anybody special, just opening presents. Like this is the kind of stuff, this is the kind of content that people are. It's not storytelling. It's just like obviously what's been happening for a while is like
people want real life,
playing video games.
People want real life in real time. They want it in real time. I'm the same. I want it in real time. That's why I think these conversations can be really valuable, because we're experiencing something in real time, and that's what everybody's connectivity, all that stuff. Like, you know, I have a real quick funny story, and I want to interject it because I might forget it if I never say it again. Okay. But I knew this artist Yuri in downtown LA. This is like 1998 or maybe 2003 or 4, something like that. And he was trying to, this is before internet, pre-internet. And he's an artist, very talented, super talented. His wife was pregnant and chain smoking cigarettes in their studio loft. That's what kind of was a red flag for me, but I was really, it's not what they're European. They're French. No, just kidding. No. So it's I was just kind of like, and I'm smoking cigarettes. What the fuck? But anyways, I don't have a baby in me. But
that's true.
But he was pitching me this idea about putting cameras up in other artists' studios and recording them live and streaming them live on the internet.
Oh.
And this is like, I was like, that is crazy. I would never want to be filmed, or I cannot ever see anybody wanting to be filmed 24/7 and doing their daily habitat.
Now that's like the thing. That's like the thing that a lot of artists
he was like 10 years, he was like 8 years ahead of his time. And I thought it was hogwash. I was like, what are you talking about? You want to be seen going to the bathroom? You want to be seen painting paintings or having sex? It all happened.
There's that whole site that's dedicated to that. That's like they have, artists.
There's OnlyFans. There's all sorts of. It's a menagerie. It's a.
You're probably right. That's probably where we are gonna start gravitating towards, and even like heavier and heavier. I mean, it's like TV shows and documentaries and all this stuff are still doing huge, massive business, and movies and movie theaters is still doing, big business. But I just don't know how I see it playing out 10, 15, 20 years down the line when the kids who are like 7 or 8, 9 years old now, whose whole entertainment revolves around watching other people either play video games or do things, like I said, like opening presents or whatever, just the real
anything. And wait till they can, and here's the thing to throw out, wait till you can, they can pull up their grandmother or grandfather's memories and watch those in a holographic field.
What?
Like Oculus, they could pull up people that those kids that are 3 and 7 or 6 right now are going to live to probably be about 150 years old on the average, probably. Wow. That's probably that's the growth exponentially of what's. I didn't mean to throw out that word exponentially, but like if we are average age between me and you and the friends that we know, is probably going to hopefully reach 100, but maybe we got like maybe 30 good years in us. But hopefully more, depending on what science develops and how we treat our bodies and stuff like that. But like those kids that are 6 or 3 years old right now, they are definitely living to 150 on the average.
Wow. Well,
unless the planet implodes.
The climate doesn't.
Oh, that old thing.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, okay. So we digress. Let's get back on topic.
It's interesting though to kind of consider, as we're talking about filmmaking and storytelling and, the creation of art, like how that conversation is evolving with the audience and, what it means. And I don't know, I have felt that even when we saw with oh God, what was it? What's her name? Hannah Gadsby? Am I saying that right?
I do believe that I understand that name.
Comedian, she
Hannah Gadsby.
segued into more, sorry, my back's killing me. I just keep moving around. Segued into more.
Well, I want you to be as comfortable. Are you comfy? Are you comfy right now? Are you good?
I'm good. I'm just
all right. You want some water? All right.
But I was just thinking about how even in comedy, like when she did that special segueing more into personal storytelling, which to some degree comedy has always been, but she included the personal story of what it was like for her participating in comedy and the effect that it's had on her and the trauma that was inflicted from various different things. So it's all becoming very meta, where it's like me just binge watching The Offer, is like, it's like I'm watching a TV show about the making of movie, like it's kind of becoming like you're saying.
And
like
you're also choosing the time. You're also choosing the time that you're watching it as well. Like remember back in the only 3 channels, ABC, NBC, and CBS, you had to watch shit when it happened, or otherwise you're gonna miss it.
Right.
And that was it.
Yeah. Which was amazing because there was this cultural phenomenon with those things, where like everyone was kind of in it together. Everyone was having that experience together with those first really big, impactful miniseries that came out that dealt with all these issues. And those old movies of the week, like some of them were like before my time, but I like watched some of them later on, later in life, that were made like in the 70s, and they were like so incredible, like really out there,
well, the last episode of MASH was like the most watched thing ever in the world at the time that it happened. It was like 77 billion people or a million people watched all MASH, the last episode, powerful. All at once.
That's powerful. And it feels a little now like it's just so overwhelming, like what to choose to watch, and how much there is, like how are you going to spend your time, and like what do you want to listen to, and what are you going to check out, and where to go, and what platform do I want to go to, and like I'm like, oh, I got Hulu and Paramount and and Amazon and Netflix and Showtime and HBO, and then
that's when you need to smoke a big joint. Is it like I
end up watching true crime. I'm like, I'm like,
what about true crime do you like the most? Because I've heard different theories about this.
Well, I think it's going to sound really weird, but I always used to say this about Law and Order too. There is something strangely relaxing about sitting down to consume a story that is going to have like a beginning, middle, and end, and there's going to be closure at the end, and it's going to wrap up, and
the ending before it ends, so it's just to get to the end. Maybe we should make more movies like that. We tell the end of the movie first. It's very Tarantino, actually.
I do like things that mess with the timeline. I do enjoy that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, true crime is like, I think that there's something, obviously everybody's super fascinated by it. I think that there's some truths, like that, you kind of, it makes me think how, there's so much weight put on, being, being positive, or, making good choices, making great decisions, being in control of your life, being empowered, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, and, that like, you can really be in control of your destiny and all this. And then, you watch one of these really well-made series and you see this story, taking this story that's like, and then there are just these senseless things that happen to people that have no explanation. They certainly weren't deserving of it, and you just can't make sense of it, and you don't know why the perpetrator did what they did. You don't know why did, why was that victim, the one that was chosen to experience something so horrifying. I don't know. It's kind of, I guess I'm just fascinated by that darkness. But then maybe there's something strangely relieving about it, because it also points out that there is so much, that's really not in our control. Like there are, random horrible things that can happen out there in the world. And
that brings you comfort?
Maybe, well, it reminds me to be compassionate, like to really be compassionate, that there's just it's a wild, crazy, sometimes senseless world. And so I guess in some way, follow me,
sister. You know it.
Like out there. I gotta walk.
It's a wacky, wacky world, baby.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe I think when I'm like, and this is just like in a personal way, like maybe when I'm putting too much pressure on myself, or having that narrative that's like, you should, do this, be on this path, and the should, and like, do it better, or do it the right way, or why aren't you doing it the right way? And then, sometimes you're just reminded, by a story like that, like, oh, just be grateful.
Yeah.
Be grateful,
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have passed away before us that are alive to be here today. And it's been wild. I had some wild fucking experiences. There was a woman that I knew a while back, and we were doing doggy yappy hour together. She's probably like 18 or 20. I think she's 21. Her name was Juliana Redding.
Okay.
And we used to do this yappy hour thing on Main Street in Santa Monica with our dogs, and we drink wine and stuff like that. And I knew her friend who's blonde. Anyways, I'm gonna try to make this a quick thing, but because there's a point to it. But like, she was murdered, and I was in a hotel room living with my dogs on Rose Avenue, half a dozen, and I was living at the hotel there that was for like living out of there. And the last time I'd seen her, one of the times I seen her at the yappy hour, we showed each other our driver's licenses pictures. So gorgeous, almond eyes, brown skin, blue eyes, just like a gorgeous. And one of the last times I saw her, I felt this heat around us, or around that area, the yappy hour. And anyways, I ran into her. She worked at the other room, not the other room, but this place on Abercrombie. Anyways,
okay.
The last time I saw her, I'm jumping around a little bit, but I was living in the hotel room, and this a young actors found dead in Santa Monica, and I got those same feelings on the back of my head that I had when one of the last times we saw each other. And then I watched the news, and they put her driver's license picture on the screen, and I was like, what? And I met her father when she moved into town from Arizona, and I met her father when they came back into town at the yappy hour. We had like one more yappy hour, and they came into town. And it's very awkward, very strange. We talked about dogs, she had stole a dog. It was I've always thought about making that into a movie, but how does that work with, is that blood money? Because I always had a moral dilemma with trying to pursue that, because I don't want to profit off anybody's death, but is a very interesting cautionary tale that I have some crazy, I just don't want to make money off it. How do you justify that? I guess that's like Spielberg making Schindler's List and making a profit. What are the ethical?
I think
things?
that
I know we're talking about Hollywood here, so there are no ethics. So
you have to push that conversation aside, because if you're, it's if it's profitable, then that means that a lot of people got to see it. And if there's something in the message that's educational or creates more compassion or empathy in the world, or, like you said, it has a cautionary element in it, or it's just simply like sort of an homage to this young woman to say, like, she was here, she existed, and she had a life, and she mattered to people. And you just, want other people to share in that, that she was like this beautiful angel that was here for a time, and that she did serve a purpose, and she impacted people, and and that can matter. And the profitability thing is, yes, if you specifically were making something about something like that, and your intention in your heart was to make money off of it, and you didn't care, then that's something different. But if you make something with the intention of bringing something, like we said, which creates these wonderful things in the world, and you want it to be successful because you want to share it with the most amount of people and to have the biggest impact, that's what matters.
Yeah.
If it also happens to be profitable, then you also have the option to send that money to a charity that perhaps would be something that
I think I'd probably be the best outlet for that.
Right. You could just like send, if she was super into dogs and she loved animals, then you could, if there was profit, then you could send that to
that's a good avenue. That's actually maybe that might be the thanks for spitballing that with me, because I was always like, how do you, because it was like it was funny. It was like it's like when you see something, I'm not glamorizing it, but I am a filmmaker, so I do see things as a movie, but it's like an oddity. It's like, oh, she's too pretty, like she's too pretty to exist. And when something that happens like that, and when she was killed, I got that feeling that it was from a woman, and then they had a trial, and that one didn't get sentenced for that murder, even though her fingerprint.
It was a woman who murdered her?
Yeah.
Wow. Was it someone she knew?
Yeah.
Just senseless? Like it was just like a...
It was, she was there. This is where the it's a woven story, because it's like, she started going out with a guy, I think he's an Indian guy, who was into pharmaceutical company, and also a plastic surgeon. I actually met him once at the what's that place called on Abbot Kinney? Damn it. I'll find it. But she's a hostess there. Anyways, he didn't like me. I remember meeting him once. He didn't like me at all. But his assistant got it was his assistant, Kelly Sue Park, was put through trial for the murder of Juliana Redding, because they found Kelly Sue Park's DNA underneath her neck fingernails.
Okay.
From strangulation. She was going through her neck to try to save her life, and they found Kelly Sue Park's DNA in there. So they had a thing where they did a transfer of DNA from a cup, because the same cup was in her boyfriend's house, and Kelly Sue Park probably touched that at one time, and that cup was in Juliana's house. So there's a DNA so she got off on a DNA transfer. It was gnarly. Anyways, so that's it was like, and her family went apeshit in the fucking courtroom. But it was a jealousy thing? Like it was... No, she her boyfriend paid $250,000, was put into Kelly Sue Park's checking account 2 weeks prior to Juliana's murder. and somebody had access to the house because they already inside the house when she came in.
Oh, so they think it was the boyfriend.
No, I think Killer Sue Park, he paid her $250,000 off, probably go over there. And also there's another layer. Okay. The other layer is her father was in the pharmaceutical business, and he didn't want to go in business with this guy. Who offered him a lot of money to do something.
Wow, what a crazy situation.
And so the Indian guy who was her boyfriend, has never been found. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's a crazy, like, well, this has been a good excuse to tell that story for Juliana. However it manifests or whatever,
Yeah.
But it's when you're LA's a tough fucking place, man. I've seen people rise to, and so people spend this like 20 years, whatever amount, trying to get this one like 2-3 year of fame, and then it dissipates, and then they do, different things, autographing things and stuff like that. But like, they work their whole lives for like 3 minutes of something it's not sustainable. That's what I'm saying. It's not fame, creativity. I mean, creativity is effervescent. So it's like, but the trying to be the fame, that very rare that you have a Tom Hanks, a Cher, a Jane Fonda.
Whatever, yeah, somebody who makes that like millions of dollars.
That's like 1 in a billion.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's a crazy ride. I mean, I sometimes, talk
and
to
who wants to be like that? Who do you really want to be that famous? I mean, is that what you don't do for the fame? Do you?
It's just so hard to know how anybody is going to handle that situation at any given point in their life. I was when I first moved here, I was thrown, into my career in my early 20s in the late 90s, like fast and furious, and just kind of happened much quicker than I thought. And I was all of a sudden, was this series regular on a show, and like moving to New York, and I had just gotten to LA from Portland, and then I was there, and then like dealing with very high level people, very talented people, very experienced people who are a lot older than me, who had been nominated for Academy Awards and stuff, and grew up in a different world, with more money and access to things, and that was too much for me too soon. And I wasn't even catapulted up to like an A-list level. I was around people like that, and I was and making really good money, and I was in that scene, and I was rising into that world, but it was even just overwhelming to me. I was having overwhelming panic attacks at the time, walking down red carpets and doing press junkets for like the TV show that I was on. Like you had to go and do the upfronts.
What was the TV show that you're on?
I was on a show called Trinity back in the late 90s.
Okay, and hold on, you're gonna kill me, because can we come back and do this one more time? Can we? Because do you have a little bit more time? Because I've got to end this, because I didn't upgrade. I apologize, but can we come back on one more time?
Yeah. I got to wrap it up. I'm like, let's
I know, but we barely even scratched the surface. Hold on one second. Let me see one thing.
We can do another one. I'm just like, I'm worked all day. I'm like, I don't know why I'm like getting so tired. I'm like,
okay, we can wrap it up. I don't want to keep you.
I know I'm really enjoying it and having fun, but
let's do it again.
I would love to do we can do a part 2 if you want to.
Okay. What do you have coming up in the future? I think I've got 7 minutes. So and that's enough time to fill. I'm used to be able to, I didn't upgrade.
We have 7 more minutes.
We got 7 minutes. We got 7 minutes. That's a lot of time to fill. We can stretch.
What do
you got going on right now? And I'm sorry.
What I was saying before, I can even like just wrap up that point if you want to go back and edit through that, is that
this all stays in.
is that it's sort of like, I always say to younger people coming up in the industry, like, be careful what you wish for, because, you know, people oftentimes, the big brass ring is to make it and become super, you know, wealthy and famous at a young age. But without the right support system, without the right self-knowledge, without the right amount of awareness and spiritual evolution and growth, you know, that kind of power and that kind of exposure can be hugely detrimental. And also it can mess with your growth trajectory, because it does end and there are ebbs and flows. And so, you know, like, I experienced some hardcore stuff where it was like, you know, big, huge rises and then very abrupt, you know, drops that, you know, were not any fault of my own. It's just the way that this industry is. And so, yeah, it's something to be really cautious about, and to be aware of. So I'm always just trying to talk to young people about that, you know, that, hey, you know, there's also something really great. There's a lot of value in slowly and incrementally rising up. And as you find your voice as an artist, as you really get your footing as who you are as an artist and what you want to say and how you want to present yourself and how much or how little of yourself that you want to share with the public, or, you know, how you just want to handle all of those things, that takes time and maturity to develop that. So I almost, you know, I think it's much better to kind of stay a little bit below the radar and just slowly build great work and a great resume, and above all, a great reputation, you know, for being someone who is not only talented in all the things that you are, but kind and respectful and reliable.
What do you got going on in the future? Like, what are you working on now? Can you talk about anything you might be doing now?
Well, you know, I have a short film. I have a short film that I wrote and directed called Sissy, which I'm currently, you know, turning into a feature. So I'm working on that script now, and I think that project is going to get made soon. And then I have another feature film in development called When We Were Young and Beautiful, and my partner, who's the writer director of that, Lila McLaughlin, is an incredible talent. She is a studio sold writer. She's been around for forever, and she's about to make her directorial debut. I'm attached in the lead in the film, and we just launched a campaign called Go Support Women. So you can go to www.gosupportwomen.com, and you can buy one of these amazing t-shirts. And part of those proceeds will go to help raise the money for a very important film that we're working on, which tackles the subject of PTSD and sexual assault. And also the rest of the proceeds will go towards some women's charities. And Go Support Women will, you know, our plan is for that to continue to be a platform to support female-led projects that are, you know, raising awareness, raising the voices of women and their stories and perspectives. So those are a couple of things I have going on. I'm also working on a music video project that I'm going to direct for my friend April Henry, who's an incredible vocalist. She has a new single coming out, and we've partnered with Matsiko World Orphan Choir, which everybody should know about and find out about them. They're coming to LA on tour. There are children from all over the world, Liberia, Peru, India, who are oftentimes like survivors of human trafficking and all kinds of, you know, abuse.
How can they find that? What's the nomenclature on that?
Matsiko, Matsiko, World Orphan Choir. Yeah, you can just Google it and you can find that organization. They're incredible. Don and Jenny Windham started that organization, and they help to bring scholarships, academic scholarships, and musical training and education for all of these children. So they have an official choir that tours all over the world, and they're coming here to LA. So they're going to be here in October.
Do you have a video?
Yeah, there's a video. You can go to Matsiko's website, and there's
Can I grab a video and put it on here?
We could, yeah. I could send you something.
Yeah, send me something and I'll put it on the back end.
Okay. And then I have my album and I have my music. And if
Yay!
you want,
I was gonna ask you.
yes. So, I have a full-length album in the works with my producer, co-writer, Mike Hightower. I also have an awesome duo project with my boyfriend, Michael Russick, who's an incredible piano player and songwriter and vocalist. He has an album on Spotify called Take One, if anybody wants to go and check it out and listen to it.
What's his name again? And what's the name of the song and his name?
Michael Russick is his name. And we have a duo project called Root Russick. It's
almost like Rusted Root.
Yeah.
It's almost like Rusted Root. I love Rusted Root.
Yeah, well,
He's a big hippie.
we're kind of rootsy.
Yeah.
My last name is Root. His last name is Russick. So, we went for that.
Root.
But yeah, we're like, vocal harmony, driven kind of thing. And, we've started writing original songs together.
Okay, we got 1716.
You can find us on
15.
Instagram at Root Russick.
Bonnie Root, thank you so much for being on the show. The 77th episode of Friends with Friends. Yay! Thank you so much. Send me that stuff. Email me or text me or whatever. Thank you so much. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I'll have this posted ASAP. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Brett.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, the movie. Go see the movie.
Coming out September 6th. It'll be on demand, video on demand, live streaming. It's going to be everywhere.
I love it. Oh yeah, there should be a podcast about what people's responses to the movie is.
There should be, and you should do it.
Maybe that's the second episode.
That's a good idea. Have Jared and I both on.
There you go. Bingo. There you go.
That would be a fun episode.
We just put a button on it. We'll end on that note.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cette fois, tu ne me présentes pas sous un jour qui me convienne vraiment. Un procédé de mon invention me permet de reconstituer à la perfection.